Okay, so this is now the part 3 of our login process, but actually this is not now fully login, but we are just going to continue with our login process. Okay, so we are done with the user validation, in which, as of the previous video, we have just alerted the user with a welcome or an invalid message, okay, depending on the result of the user validation. So what we're going to do now, if ever it is a valid user, so we are going to bring or redirect the user to the next page and retrieve all um, contacts of the user. Okay, so we have here again, okay, I want to go back to our database. So we have here are the TBL contacts. Okay, so again, okay, I'm going to show you first how they are related. Okay, okay, so we have here the user is related to the user ID is we have here a foreign key for the user ID. So meaning this is the column that is going to identify who are the users, oh no, the contacts that belongs to a certain user. Okay, for example, we have here our TBL contacts. Then we have the contact user ID, and we have the different values here. So meaning user number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 has 5 contacts. Okay, user number 2 has 2, and 3 has 1. Okay, so who is user number 1? So you have here user number 1 is Pitok, so Pitok must have 5 contacts. Kulas has 2, and Bini May has 1. Okay, that's based on our sample data here. Okay, so what we're going to do is, after we have redirected the user to the main page, we are going to retrieve the contacts from this table, okay, and that is going to depend on the ID of the user. Okay, but as of now, I'm just going to show you how are we going to redirect the user from here to the main page. Okay, so here I'm just going to create a folder. I'm just going to call it main. Okay, then inside main, I'm going to create page.js. Okay, so that here we are going to retrieve the users, oh no, the contacts of the current user. Okay, so we're just going to have it this way. Okay, div save. Okay, so again, we are going to redirect the user into this page once it is valid. Okay, once the credential is valid. So how are we going to transfer from one page to another? We're going to use the router. Okay, so I'm just going to have it here. Import. Then we're going to have the use router. Okay, from next navigation. From next slash navigation. Okay, then we are going to use const router is equal to use router. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do then is to redirect. Instead that we're just going to have an alert, okay, so we are going to remove the alert because we are going to send the user to the next page. Okay, so okay, I'm just going to go directly without sending any data as of now. So I'm just going to use router dot push. Okay, then we have Okay, I'm just going to have main. Okay, again, without sending any parameters. Okay, so save. We're going to have ptalk 1 2 3 4 5 login. Okay, so we are now inside main. Okay, but if ever invalid, so it is just going to display an invalid alert. Okay, so what I want now is if ever valid, so we have here ptalk, then 1 2 3 4 5, then it is going to send the name ptalk or the full name. Okay, so what I want you to take now, let's go back to our PHP. It retrieves all, okay, all columns. So therefore we have here USR, username, password, and so on. But actually, again, it is not safe to return all. Okay, so you could just select, for example, let us say the full name and the user ID. Do not return the password. But anyway, we're just going to have another topic for optimization. Okay, code optimization as we in our upcoming videos. Okay, so but we are sure now that the full name is also returned if ever it is a valid user. Okay, so the name, by the way, of the full name, the column full name is we have here USR full name. Okay, so if ptalk is going to log in into our system, so it is going to display on the main page ptalk batulata. Okay, and take note of the ID, so we have 1. Okay, so how are we going to send a parameter to the next page? Okay, just like what we had discussed before, we're going to use the URL search params. Okay, so params is equal to new URL search params. Okay, then we have params dot append. Then I'm going to append. I'm just going to have it full name. Okay, then we're going to get the full name. Okay, or we're going to return also here the full name. So how are we going to get the full name? Response that data. Okay, but before that, so that you could fully understand this one here, I'm going to console.log response that data. Then I'm just going to comment out so that I'm going to show you how our data is being formatted. Okay, so I'm going to go with our console. Okay, so I'm going to have here ptalk, then 1 2 3 4 5 login. Okay, so this is now our data, and as you can see here, data is actually an array. Okay, an array that contains a single element. Okay, so that's why as you could see it there, 0. If ever there will be 2 elements, it would be 0, then 1, and so on. Okay, so we could identify each of the elements, or we could retrieve each of the elements by their respective index. Okay, in our case, in this case that we have now for the user is we have a single element, so therefore we are going to get the element from element 0. Okay, so that is why here I'm going to erase this one, then go back. So here, our data, we must have to specify that we are getting or retrieving the first element, even though we only have a single element. So we're going to get the first element, then dot, so you can see there, USR full name. Okay, so we could just get directly the USR full name, whatever would be the value of the USR full name. Okay, So after appending that, next is we are going to, by the way, I'm going to use here the backtick. Okay? That's the backtick actually. Main, so that I could use my slash main. Then we're going to have parameters. Then I'm going to have the params. Okay, so far I only have the full name, okay, for my parameter. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my main page and I'm going to retrieve the value from the parameter. But before that, I'm just going to show you. Okay, so login. So you could see there we are now on the main again, and you could see here now our parameter. Okay, full name is equal to Pitok Batulata. Okay, why? It is because we have sent that parameter into our URL by using our router. So in our main page, so how are we going to extract the one passed from the other page? Okay, so as what we had discussed before, we are going to use our another React hook. Okay, so we have here our use search params. Okay, so we are going to import use search params from next navigation. Okay, then here const, I'm just going to call it search params is equal to use search params. Okay, so therefore this object now search params can now extract or has now an access to our search parameters. Take note, this is what we call as the search parameters. Okay, so we are going to use the get function or method. Okay, okay, I'm just going to have here const. In a way, this is going to be used only once, or you could actually create another state variable, but in my case, since I'm just going to display it once, so I'm just going to have a variable. Okay, search params that get. Okay, get, then what are we going to get? It is okay, we are going to get the full name here. Okay, so get, then we are going to have full name. Okay, then after that we are then going to display below. Okay, I'm not going to use any use effect as of now, so I'm just going to have it here. We're going to say context of, then full name. Okay, if I'm going to have that, it is going to display the word full name. So therefore, we are going to enclose it with curly braces. So save. Oops, I think we have an error. Okay, we have an error. Okay, again, we have here users params. It is must be in a client component. So therefore, we are going to have use client. Save. Okay, so you could see there now contacts of Pitok Batulata. So how about if ever I'm going to have, what are the other users? We have Kulas, then 54321. So I have here Kulas, then 54321. Login. So you have their contacts of Kulas Bimalas. Okay. So we are now done with passing parameters for or redirecting the user from the main the login page to our main page. So the next thing that we're going to do is to retrieve records from the database. Okay, so first is we are going to modify, or we are going to create our API that is going to be in charge in retrieving the contacts for our specific users. I'm going to create here contacts.php. So I'm not going to mix it with our users.php. So I'm going to create another API here. Okay, so I'm just going to copy our template, then contacts. Okay, then I'm just going, instead of trying to have a user, I'm going to have contact. Okay, then here contact. Our object now is named contact. And our, okay, I'm just going to remove them. I'm going to have here get contacts. Okay, get contacts by user. Okay, so therefore here we are going to have our JSON should have the user ID. Okay, so we need only the user ID to identify or to filter the contacts that we are going to return, that it must belong only to the current users. Okay, so I'm just going to copy. Actually, we have the same routines. I'm just going to copy this one here, then paste. Okay, by the way, this is not our the code. Then select asterisk from TBL contacts. Okay, so select asterisk from TBL contacts where contact user ID is equal to whatever value. Okay, take note here, user ID from TBL contacts where contact underscore user ID is equal to user ID. Okay, so I have here user ID because I am going to get a user ID from the user. So here, the user ID, then we have that, then the same. Okay, so after we have executed our command, then we have here our return statement. By the way, I'm just going to add order by contact underscore name. Okay, so we are going to test that into our Postman. Okay, so we have here HTTP localhost slash contacts dash API slash contacts.php. Okay, and we are going to send a user ID. Oops, no, it's not a user ID. We're going to send by the way, I forgot. The operation should be okay, get contacts. Okay, and again, still we're gonna have the operation and JSON. Okay, operation would be get contacts, and our JSON is going to contain user ID, and the value is 1. Okay, this is for Pitok. Okay, it must return 5 records if we have no error. Oops, not found. Not found means this one here. contacts.api contacts. Well, it's PHP. Okay. So send undefined variable user in line number 36. Oh, we have here. Okay. So it should be user, and this is get contacts. Okay, save. Then once again we're going to test. Okay, it returns. Oh, we have an invalid JSON. Okay, so there must be a close curly brace in send. Okay, so I'm here the 5 records. So how about for Colas? We are going to have 2, I think. So it must send 2 records. So we have here Kulasa and Kulasa. That's 2 records of the same name but different last name. Okay, so therefore we have no error now, or we have no problem now with our API. So next is we are going to call this API, then display the records into our next.js page. Okay, so this is our main. So since we need our user ID, so therefore, and where can we get our user ID? From here. Okay, from our login page. So therefore, I'm going to add another parameter, okay, for the user ID. Take note, we are on the login because the user ID will be coming from our login page. Okay, so response.data still we have 0, but here we are going to have the USR, then we have ID. So where does this ID come from? So from our users. So we have this user ID. Okay, so this is the value we are going to expect on user ID. So save, by the way. Then to check if it is now sent here, so let's go back. Then we have ptalk 1 2 3 4 5 login. So we have here now our user ID. But again, take note, it is not safe to send the user ID into our URL. Okay, why? It is because the user can just change actually here the value, then enter. Okay, so it is now value number 2. Okay, so when we are going to use our use search params, it is going to get the value 2. Okay, but again, we are going to have that, or you could actually use then directly our session storage. But anyway, we could, or you could, what do you call this? I forgot the term. We are not going to show here the value number 2. Okay, so encrypt. We are going to have another session or another video for encryption. Okay, for security purposes. But as of now, as long as we have sent the ID here, okay, that's enough as of this moment. Okay, so we have there the user ID. So the next thing that we are going to do again here next is we are going to have, I'm just going to have it here. I'm going to have the user ID. Then here get, what are we going to get? The user ID. Okay. So that would be then the ID that we are going to use for get contacts. Okay, and we are going to call get contacts in our use effect. comma, then okay. So we're going to call get contacts here. Oops, without a D. Okay. So next then is we're going to get the contacts from our contacts.php. Okay, so we have const URL is equal to http localhost slash contacts dash API slash contacts dot php. Okay, then our JSON data const JSON data is equal to we have there user ID, then user ID. Okay, why user ID? It is because we are, or our API is expecting us for the user ID. Okay, that's for the key, and the value is we have the user ID here. Okay, so next then is we're going to have const response is equal to axios.get, then we have the URL, then our params. Okay, for our params is we're going to have the JSON, and the value of our JSON is JSON.stringify. Actually, I'm just making this one fast because we have the same procedure or algorithm with our login. Stringify, then we have JSON data. So I've converted it into a string. Then we also have operation, which is our operation now is we're going to have the get contacts. That's one. Okay. Const. So after getting the response, okay, first I'm just going to try console.log response.data. Get contacts. Save. Oops, we have an error. Spelling. Okay. Axios. Then I guess we are going to import from Axios. Save. Oops, we have two undefined. So, okay. The reason, as you can see it there, this is what I explained in our previous video. Why response.data is undefined? It is because we didn't await this procedure here. Then we have async. Save. Oh. Refresh. Okay, so a bit there. So we have here the 5 contacts of Pitok. Okay, so as you can see, we have an array. Then we have all details about each of the contacts of Pitok. Then we have here and so on. Okay, So the next thing that we're going to do is to display these contacts into our page. Okay, so not just in the console, but we are going to use effect, but we must have to create a list. So use state. Okay, so here const contacts list and set contacts list. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I am initializing an empty contacts list because this is the list that is going to contain the users or the contacts returned by our API. Then here is we are going to update set contacts list, then response that data. Response that data without having any index. Okay, why? Because we are response that data contains all. Okay, all records. Okay, set contacts list. So the next thing that we're going to do is to display it here. Okay, so again, without any design, without any beautification into our display or enhancement on our UI, I'm just going to display because my target now is you are going to learn how to display, how to retrieve records, then display it into our page. Okay, we have the T head, then we have, I think we could have the TH, the name of the contact, okay, address, and I'm just going to have the phone, okay, phone number, okay. Then after our T head is going to have our T body, okay. So inside our T bodies, we are then going to display all of the returned records. Okay, so you need to have contacts list that map. Okay, so we're going to create here an object contact, then the index. Okay, then we are going to return. Okay, so take note of our routine. Okay, return what? We are going to return a TR for each of the record or array or contact. Okay, meaning the TR means row. Then inside our row, we're going to have a table data. Okay, the first is going to display contact dot, I think it is contact underscore name. Okay, but we must have to enclose this one into our curly brace. So we have the name, address, and the phone. Just to be sure if it is correct. So we have contacts, then there, name, phone, and address. Okay. Then, by the way, we're going to add another TH for reactions. Okay. And here, I'm just going to add I'm just going to add a button. Let's say button, then update. Okay, we're just going to have a single button as of now. Okay, so save. Okay, so we have 3, then here Okay. I just want to go back on our very first page, ptalk 1 2 3 4 5, then login. So I have here now the names of the contacts of ptalk. Okay, so how about we are going to have Kulas 1 2 3 4 5, no, it's 5 4 3 2 1 5 4 3 2 1, then login. So I have here the contacts of Kulas. We have only 2 contacts. Okay, then the last one, Bini May, then 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4 5, login. So we have the contact of Princess May. Okay, so next is supposedly when the user is going to click on update, okay, he or she can update each of the records. But anyway, that would be on our next video. Okay, recap. We retrieve the data passed from the login page, then use effect, meaning on page load, it is going to get contacts. So we have here the function get contacts. So we have accessed the contacts.php, particularly the function get contacts. Okay, we have sent the user ID. Okay, then we have set the returned value from our API into our contacts list, defined here into our state variable contacts list. Then once it has been updated, it is going to automatically update, okay, here by using our map. By the way, so that we are not going to get those warnings here, error, we're just going to have key is equal to index. Okay, save. So this algorithm here is the one that is going to display each of the contact, okay, into our page. Okay, so on the next video we're going to discuss on how the user can add contacts, or how the user can register into our application.